Hello, hello.
Hello, hello. We are back at it again.
Yes, we are. What's up, Marie? How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I am good. I am good. It is 5:32. I see some people already in the chat that are commenting here. If you're listening in, let us know where you're tuning in from. It's always good to see where in the world people are tuning in from. So appreciate you. We are going to start digging in here into this topic of the I'm happy to announce project with a guest of ours, a special guest. Before we do, um, let's do a quick introduction. I'd love to, just introduce myself if you're not familiar with who I am, and then I'll pass the mic over to Marie and she'll introduce herself. Then we'll go ahead and bring our guests to the stage. So if you're not familiar with who I am, my name is Manny Duenas. If you've been on my LinkedIn profile before, it says the career doctor, right? So this is a project, a passion project of mine that I came up with because I saw that there were a lot of posts that were popping up on LinkedIn, right? A lot of these I'm happy to announce, I'm happy to share posts, and a lot of it happened when I was job seeking myself. And I was like, man, I wish those posts had a little bit more meat to them, that it shared a little bit more of like how did these individuals get to that finish line. And so the I'm happy to announce project is first, it's for job seekers, especially those who are looking to break into tech or their dream job. It serves as a reminder that every person who makes these types of posts has a story behind everything that they put in to getting to where they are today, and that post that they made to LinkedIn. So it's a great opportunity for these individuals to tell their story on the challenges that they faced, that you don't hear about a lot of the times in those postings. So that's what this project is. Right? We just want to empower job seekers, students, people who are in their careers, to keep on going, right? And learn from other people's stories. So that is the project itself. And just a little bit about me. I'm a university recruiter at Intuit. Just started about a month ago. And actually, Marie helped me get to where I am today. So eternally grateful for her support. So other than that, you can check out more information on me on my LinkedIn profile. I'm going to pass the mic over to Marie so that she can learn a little bit about her.
Awesome. Thanks, Manny. Such a good intro. I love hearing your intro because it's full of just so much love for what you do. So, really excited to be here again. But hi, everybody. Hi from all around the world. It's amazing to see where everyone's tuning in from in the chat. So thank you so much for being here. But yes, I am Marie. If you're on my LinkedIn page, you have probably seen that I call myself the fairy job mother. I am currently a recruiter at Netflix, and my background has been in entertainment, tech, and video games, which has been such a really cool experience. But I met Manny formally December 31st. It's like our date now that we love to shout to the world. But December 31st, met Manny. He's been an inspiration to me as I've been on my own personal brand story and journey. And he shared, the sentiments of like this project, and he asked me to come on board. And so, yeah, so that's why we're here. I love the mission of this project. Like Manny said, it's to really shine a light on everyone's story, what really is behind those I'm happy to announce posts, because really, as much as it is a big celebration, there's a lot that goes behind the scenes that go unsaid, and is so important for every job seeker to know the realities. And especially for me as a recruiter, that's something that I like to do. And you probably see that on my LinkedIn, that's stuff that I like to share too, is just like the realities of the recruitment process, the ups and downs that people go through and things like that. So you can check me out on my LinkedIn as well. But yes, definitely want to get our guest here soon so she can share her story and tell more about her post. So yeah, ready to go when you are.
Yes, yes, yes. So, without further ado, we're going to bring on stage our guest. Her name is Stephanie Sue. She is a rising sophomore at UC Berkeley and landed a software engineering internship at Meta. And if you didn't know, if you haven't seen the event, which if you're turning in, you probably have, but if you're new to this and you just popped on just now, this is our student series of the I'm Happy to Announce project. So we are actually focusing on students who have landed internships over the next couple of weeks. So, without further ado, let's bring her on so that we can hear more from her and get to the bottom of how she made it into Meta. So let's get her up here.
Woohoo! Welcome,
Welcome,
Stephanie.
welcome.
Hi, Manny. Hi, Marie. Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be on here.
Yay! So excited to have you. How's your day going? How's the world been?
It's been going pretty well. I actually moved to Seattle in 2 days, so that's been something that's stressful, but also really exciting. Get to explore a new city. So for the past few days, I've just been packing and living out of suitcases.
Amazing. That's probably something like I know maybe many job seekers don't look to think about that, but if you are looking for work and you have to relocate, I probably would want to hear Stephanie's story because how do you do that in 2 days?
Yeah. So, Steph, I know you've got a lot going on, incredibly busy, just finishing up finals at UC Berkeley and, obviously preparing for the big move to Seattle. So we appreciate you for taking a little bit of time to come on here and share your story with those that are tuning in who may be job seeking or, also still looking for internships or preparing for looking for internships in the fall. So this will be incredibly helpful for all parties because a lot of this stuff is transferable, right? I mean, being a job seeker, we have a lot in common with each other when it comes to that. So let's dig into some of this, right? So you made an I'm happy to announce post, right? And let's get that on the screen here and let's ask you, why this was why you made this post. So let me see if we can get that up here. And it looks like there we go. So this was your post, right, from a couple months back, when you landed your job or your internship at Meta. Let me scroll to the top here. There we go. So first question for you is why did you decide to make a post like this?
Yeah, so great question. Similar to other LinkedIn users, I did want to celebrate an accomplishment I was proud of. It took over 3 months, and I wanted to be able to share that with my network. But also, I wanted to be transparent about my internship recruiting process. I struggled a lot with self confidence throughout, and I felt so unqualified that I didn't even want to ask for referrals because I was afraid of seeming like a bad candidate and hurting the person that referred me. I also wanted to show that I experienced mostly rejections, and I honestly got really lucky in getting those 1 or 2 acceptances. So hopefully I could help inspire those who might be experiencing that same situation.
Yeah.
Right. And I'll go ahead, Marie.
No, I was gonna say no, that's really great. And that's something that I feel I'm glad that you decided to make the post on, not just to again, like you said, celebrate it, but really share, how did it get to that? How did you get to that milestone? And yeah, I'm pretty sure we'll get to it in the conversation. But yeah, like what was it like, feeling the way that you're feeling, like all of those, things that you were feeling, the rejections, how did you even handle those, because I know like that's really part of the whole job seeker process. So, I'm glad that you felt brave to share it. I appreciate and that you, shared the whole story, and that we're really talking about it more. So.
Not a quick question, but something that I wanted to point out about Stephanie's post. So if you're seeing it here, and also we'll share it in the chat as well, so that the rest of you can also, if you want to click on it and actually go to it and see it for yourself, we will put that in the chat in just a minute here. But if you notice, this post is, it's not short, right? It's more on the lengthy end of things, but I like that it's lengthy because it goes into detail, and that's what I feel like a lot of these posts that we see are missing, right? I honestly, I've seen at least 10 of them today. I see them every day, and it's I like to say that they're missing, more information, like the story. And in yours, you talk about what you went through, right, to get to where you are today. And that I feel like is what these posts should be more like. Like they should gravitate more to looking like something like this. That way, when people see this and see these types of postings, it's not just like discouraging, because sometimes, like as a job seeker, if it's just like I'm happy to announce that I got this job at this great company, and I wanted to shout out these people. It doesn't always, hit with every person who reads it, right? Some people are like, oh, okay, great, that's awesome that you got a job, that you landed an internship. So that's why I want to encourage people, anyone who's like listening in, is if you are still job searching, or you're going to land an internship, you haven't made your post yet, but you're thinking about it, right? Spend a couple more minutes adding a little bit more of like the things that you might have gone through to get to where you are. And that is so helpful for people that are seeing these posts, right? I really want to like change how people are putting that information out there. Because one, yes, it's a celebratory post, and I'm happy for everyone who's making those posts. I feel like it's an opportunity to help other people. So, and that's what this is all about.
Mhm.
So that being said, let's jump into the next piece of what went into this, right? And that is what was your process for obtaining your internship at Meta? Right? Like, how did that all go down? Like, tell us kind of what went on behind the scenes.
Sure. So I started building my resume and my LinkedIn profile during the summer before the start of my freshman year. At that point, I was already creating LinkedIn content, so I was pretty familiar with the most common advice we see on here, such as reaching out to recruiters, hiring managers, and networking, etc. Though I will say I did not follow a lot of that advice, and I ended up applying for internships starting in October, even though most of them opened in August. I will say I don't entirely regret this decision because at the beginning, even before college, I didn't have a lot of experience that was relevant to the fields I was wanted to go into, software engineering and product management. So in the beginning of the school year, I was able to join a club, Voyager Consulting, which allowed me to develop more experience to put on my resume. So resume part aside, I applied to Meta University, which is Facebook's undergraduate program for underclassmen, freshmen, sophomores. There's a variety of Meta University tracks such as data analytics or engineering. All FBU candidates receive a 70-minute online code signal assessment. So I took that assessment and I got all the points on that. So I did pretty well. And then I was internally referred to the software engineering internship. And that's what led to an interview. I can go more into my interview process in a little bit, but it's definitely a lengthy process.
That's awesome. That's cool. My question is, how did you know about like Meta's summer program? Because I know like I didn't know that exists, right? And I'm sure maybe even our listeners or just really job seekers, like, they may just only look at LinkedIn. I know I'm an advocate of like, go check career sites, go to the actual company site and like research. And maybe sometimes people don't know to do that. And so, how did you end up finding that was actually a thing?
Fortunately, I had a few friends who were computer science majors had already been in college for a couple of years. Most notably, the founder of the organization I currently lead was a third or fourth year at UC Irvine. So before going to college, I asked her for advice about how to land internships in software engineering, and she sent me this long list of underclassmen programs that I could apply to, such as Google STEP and Meta University. So having older friends was really helpful in this process.
That's awesome. That's really great. Yeah. And I think that's, the power of that networking. I know that you said like you didn't exactly follow those steps, but in a way you still kind of did because that's really great. Like, yeah, like even someone who's a year older, or maybe just recently graduated, or, just a couple steps above you, like they could just be such a great resource because, yeah, they could be seeing things that you're not yet privy to, at the level that you are. So I'm really glad that you, was able to get that information from someone. So that's really great.
That's actually it's a good segue into our next question here, and that is more about like your challenges and maybe some setbacks that you may have run into and how you overcame them, and maybe that's what you were alluding to earlier, right, Steph, when you were saying I could talk about like the interview process and that a little bit later. So I'm not exactly sure if that's what you meant, but I have a feeling it might. But yeah, tell us more about that. Like, what happened? Was there anything that got in your way, or walls that you might have hit?
Sure. Well, some of the challenges that I did face was, first off, being a freshman. A lot of companies prefer juniors and seniors so that they can hire the interns right after they graduate. So finding companies that were willing to hire freshmen was fairly difficult. Another thing was lacking experience, which contributes to why freshmen are so hard. It's so hard for freshmen to get internships. And then lastly, I lacked a lot of self-confidence. I think personally, like, I'm not the most confident person at all times, but seeing these other people who have been coding for so many years have amazing projects on their resume, I really thought I wouldn't be able to compete with that. For those challenges, those weren't necessarily things I could overcome through steps. Like, I just happen to be a freshman and I don't have as much experience as others. However, one challenge that I was able to overcome was going from 0 to 1 in terms of the interview prep process. I was really not expecting to get an interview for meta software engineering internship in my freshman year. So I wasn't even thinking about it, and I didn't even start preparing until I landed the interview, which means I needed to cram this process that many people spent several months on to 2 to 3 weeks. Though it felt really intimidating at first, I've always found that the best way for me to overcome these kinds of obstacles is to make a clear plan. So first, I talked to my friends, saw what the types of interviews look like, and got to working. So first step was studying data structures and algorithms, which are the main topics of the interviews that I had to do. I watched some YouTube videos. I revisited the curriculum from the data structures class that I was currently taking at Berkeley at the time. Then I started doing leak code, which are practice coding questions very similar to the types you would see in a coding interview. In fact, some companies take their questions directly off of leak code. So that was a really great way to familiarize myself with what the interview might look like. I started by just randomly doing some questions, not much rhyme or reason to it, just to get familiar with the platform. But then I created a more of a structured strategy by doing the top 50 Facebook tagged questions. So another great feature about LeetCode is users can tag questions that they've seen at interviews from certain companies. So I did the questions that Facebook asks most often. I did some questions from the Meta Career Portal. And lastly, I did mock interviews and practice explaining my solutions so I could get the environment of an actual interview.
Wow, that is quite the prep. I mean, I am, being on the recruitment side and having, helped just on the recruitment side for like technical interviews, like it's a lot of work, but yes, like seeing it from the candidate's perspective, like that is definitely quite an extensive, preparation. But I love that you use the resources. And I think that's something that I really want, a lot of job seekers to do, is that I know that, like you said, Stephanie, earlier, it was like, oh, network, optimize your LinkedIn, get your resume in a good place. Like it's all about those things. But I love that you use these resources on like, how do I find these questions? Where can I go? I know, some people go to like Glassdoor for like interview questions, but on the technical side, like you actually was like, I'm going to go check the portal. I'm going to go check here. I'm going to go get the top 50 things that like people have said that they have actually seen in these interviews. And it's just, I think that's something that is just really amazing to hear from you. And I really hope that our guest and like, our audience is hearing right now, is just the use of just what's already out there. Like, I'm sure you don't even have to pay for any of these things, right? Like it's just there. And so I hope that's something that people are getting, is that there is resources out there. It might take a bit of time. I'm sure, Stephanie, you can tell us too, like how much time did it take just to curate that stuff before you even jumped in to prepping for the interview? But that's amazing that you went in and proactively searched for that stuff. So amazing work.
Yeah, thanks, Marie. And just to shed a little bit more light on the preparation process, I did lead coding for about a month and a half and I got through 90 questions. So every day I'd spend a couple of hours working on it. And during winter break, I got basically the entire time to practice for my interview, which was really helpful for me. If I was trying to do this preparation all during the school year, then it would have been nearly impossible to make as much progress. But since I was able to sit down and focus on that, I think that's what made my studying a lot more effective.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
So one of the things that I noticed is that there was a lot of work that you put into your preparation. And while, it's quite obvious now to anyone who's listening in, hearing all these steps and things that you took to get to where you are today, like it's no joke. Like the preparation, you have to put in the work, right? If you're trying to work, like, I mean, this is for meta, right? So when I was prepping for Intuit, it was no joke. You really got to put in the time, got to put in the effort. And like I like to say, the amount of effort that you put into something is what you're going to get in return, right? You put in like normal effort, you might get like normal results. Excellent, you're going to get amazing results. So really, really like take these things seriously when you're doing your preparation. And so hopefully like people that are listening in, are starting to realize that, we can't always do things like spur of the moment. You really got to have a plan, like Stephanie was saying, so that we can set ourselves up for success. With that, I do want to point out one thing. If all of you like been seeing me like look around like at different areas of the screen, it's because I have like monitors and I'm also looking at the chat and commenting there. So I'm multitasking. So I do apologize if it looks like I'm like looking somewhere else. I am paying attention. So let's jump to the next piece here. I appreciate you sharing some of those gems there, or breadcrumbs, right? That's what I've been putting in a lot of my posts lately, right? Breadcrumbs for people to follow. Steph, next question for you. What tips would you give to our listeners for their own job search, or for students that are, looking to land future internships? What are some words of wisdom that you would have for them?
Yeah, my main piece of advice is to do what others aren't necessarily doing. And I'd say this because standing out positively is basically always a good thing. So, some ways that you can stand out from others is by reaching out to recruiters after you apply to a role. Oftentimes, it might be difficult to find out who that one recruiter is, but there are several steps you can take to try to figure out who that is. So, for me, I'm mostly looking at university recruiters because those are in charge of hiring interns. Sometimes the recruiters will say what roles they recruit for, as well as what schools they oversee. Sometimes at larger companies such as Meta, schools have dedicated recruiters that you can reach out to. The second way you can do that is by networking with folks at your dream companies to hopefully get a referral. The key thing about this is not just randomly messaging someone who works at a company and asking for a referral, because at that point, they don't have a very big incentive to want to help you out. So you might want to reach out at least 1 to 2 months in advance, try to strike up a conversation with them, be genuinely curious about their work so that you can build a relationship and so that they want to advocate for you. And lastly, it's definitely not the last way, but the last way I'll talk about is the learning about a company's challenges and brainstorming solutions to make yourself stand out. This is one tactic I've used when applying to startup internships. Sometimes I'll just talk to one of my interviewers, or I'll talk to an executive, ask them what challenges they're facing, and create my own take-home assignment / slide deck to show them that I've done thorough research on their company. Of course, if you're applying to a lot of companies, a lot of large companies too, this might not be the most sustainable approach because I agree it is very time intensive. But every time I've done this and helped my friends do this, we've always landed the offer. So that's one great way that you can stand out and show that you're really passionate about the company.
Wow, those are some amazing breadcrumbs that you just dropped there for people that are listening in. You know, it's for those who are looking to land internships, like like we were saying earlier, it's process. You got to prep in advance, and some of these things that Steph is saying, like doing like your research and doing projects are super helpful, right? So hopefully y'all taking notes, right? So it's not just going in like one ear and out the other, because this stuff works. It really does. All right, if you put in that effort, it works. And I want to say that you may hit challenges along the way. And you may not get yeses every single time, right? These journeys to your internships and to jobs are full of rejections and full of no's, right? And we always say, it's like the journey to that one yes. So, make sure that you are preparing accordingly so that you can make your way to that one yes. So appreciate you sharing those tips with the audience, Steph. Really quick, it looks like Marie lost power at her house, and so that's why you don't see her on screen right now. So, but I got her back. I got her back. So hopefully she'll be able to make it back before we wrap up. And just so that everyone, we don't want to steal an incredible amount of your time. So we do want to keep this, at about 30 minutes long. We're about like 27 right now. So with that, I want to keep us going and keep us moving here. So the next piece that I want to talk about is for Steph, who was involved, right? Because sometimes it takes a village. I know for me personally, I had like an interview prep team, that helped me land the job at Intuit. So, and I'm incredibly grateful for their support. Who are those people for you when in your process for getting to that one yes?
Yeah, I love this question. I'm gonna go on a quick aside on why it's pretty significant to me, but don't worry, I will answer it. I love this question because it recognizes that landing a job is not a solo effort. As much as I'd like to say it's my hard work and dedication to learning that got me the job, that's not the full story. And even if someone were to repeat the exact same steps I did, they might not necessarily get the same results. I'm hearing a little bit of feedback, so sorry about that. But if you want me to clarify later, I'd be more than happy to. But yeah, there's just a lot of other factors that got me in a position where I could successfully land this internship. So whenever viewing any advice that you see about other job seekers, make sure to evaluate that perspective. It's like you don't get all the context. Now, actually answering the question, there's so many people I want to thank, especially my many friends who helped me throughout this process when I did not know what I was doing. Most of all, I want to thank my friend Peter Zhang, who helped me throughout this entire 3-month process of landing the meta offer, from applying to this job to getting through the second interview and finally landing the offer. He helped me out with mock interviews, helping me solve coding questions when I was stuck for over half an hour. He taught me a lot of cool data structures, and he also led a project that I was working.
Oh man. So it would appear okay. Looks like she's coming back. Steph lost connection for a quick second, but let's bring her back to the stage here.
Yeah, so sorry about that. I accidentally clicked on a wrong link somewhere.
No worries.
Yeah, no, I saw my screen change to a Google Sheet. I was like, that's not what I'm supposed to be looking at. Okay, well, yeah, back on track. This past semester, I did a software development project for Intel, and Peter led that project. And doing this entire project made me a lot more confident about my internship, which is going to start next week. In addition to that, I want to thank my club, Voyager Consulting, which gave me a lot of great relevant experience. Throughout the past school year, I was able to consult Apple, TikTok, and Intel, which gave me great material to put on my resume and helped me build my experiences in college. Of course, I want to thank my family, my parents for financially supporting me so that I was in a state where I was able to look for these internships and not have to prioritize anything else, as well as my siblings who are both software engineers who gave me a lot of guidance along the way. And last but not least, I want to thank my recruiters, Nana and Caitlin, for being so supportive throughout this process, for believing in me. A few weeks ago, Berkeley had kind of an incident that made a lot of people on edge. It it could have been dangerous, but it thankfully wasn't. And my recruiters reached out to all their Berkeley interns wishing us well. They absolutely did not have to do that, but they went for it anyway because they really cared about our well-being. So that just really warmed my heart, and I can't wait to meet them in Seattle.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that, Stephanie. I know that if any of those individuals are listening, I hope that they're hearing that, because it goes a long way, right? For the people that are supporting, knowing that, they're appreciated. All right. So appreciate you for highlighting any those individuals. Welcome back, Marie. I see that you're there.
Thank
Do
you.
you want to jump in here?
Yeah, my power went out in my house. And so I think it's back on. It should be back on and okay. It's like the hottest day up here. And so I have my AC running and everything. So I'm sure like I short circuited something. So technology, yay. But yeah, so sorry about that. I know I missed a bit of it, but I'm glad I heard this part, because this is always my favorite part at the end is, yeah, who do you want to thank? Because I know Manny and I talked about this a lot, but just how important it is to also show that it takes a village to get to where we are, right? Like I could never ever say that I got to where I'm at by myself, right? It takes so many people, so many late nights, conversations, text messages, audio messages, right, Manny? Like it's just like so much goes into just, navigating this. And so I think it's so important, and I hope job seekers know, like, don't do this alone, right? Like I know it can feel solitary when you're job seeking, because you're the one who's looking at the job descriptions, looking at your LinkedIn profile and your resume, but look around you, and make sure that you gather people to support you throughout the whole journey. So yeah, I'm really glad that we covered this. So thank you, Stephanie, for shouting out to everyone. I'm sure they appreciate you giving your thanks.
Just commenting on something you just said, Marie. If you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go with others. So
yes,
in the job search,
quote.
Right? In your job search, find those around you to support you, kind of like your cheerleaders during the process, because the rejections take its toll. The multiple applications you're sending out can be draining, and so having people to talk to during like those late nights of prep goes a long way. So I can only imagine the preparation that you went through, Steph, just because it was a lot for me when I went through it. So with that, I do want to get into checking out like the chat and going into more of a Q&A format here. So if anyone is listening in, it looks like we do have some viewers here, and you have a question for Steph, go ahead and put it in the chat right now. And so that we know that it's a question, you can format it just QR question, like in quotation marks, so that we know that you're asking something. So if you do got a question, go ahead and put it there, and we will run through the comments now and see if we missed anything here.
I did see a question right before I got cut off, but it was around the time that you mentioned, Stephanie, about the resources that your friend sent you about like where to go to look for like these internships and these programs and things like that. And somebody asked, do you have a list of that resource? Is that something you can share? And is that something that you've posted publicly anywhere? I think people might be interested on, that list if that exists anywhere.
Yeah, so I actually did make a post about how I prepared for my technical interviews. It should be the second or third pinned post on my LinkedIn profile, so you can go over there and see all the resources I used. In terms of resources for where I found internships, I have a list of underclassmen programs. I don't know if that'll be applicable to everyone here, especially if you're not an underclassman, but feel free to PM me if you want that. And for the most part, in terms of finding internships, I use LinkedIn, Handshake, and a lot of the same sites that other people use. So there wasn't anything too special about that.
Awesome. Thank you so much. All right. So everyone go check out Stephanie's LinkedIn. and her pin post. And yeah, thank you so much, Stephanie, for sharing that post as well. That's definitely relates to all of this. And, I'm glad that you shared that. So thank you.
So there's two questions that are very, very related, right? One of them was from Kevin, and that was, can we get a hold of a list? I'm not exactly sure which one they're referring to, but then also Niha asked for like your prep materials that you had for, I'm assuming either the job search or the interview process. I encourage anyone who is looking for those resources to network, right, and reach out to you. So, Steph, you might have some people, in the My Network section of LinkedIn who have requested to connect with you.
Awesome. Love networking and meeting new people. Also love being able to help out other job seekers wherever I can.
I love that.
Awesome.
That's actually
All right.
a question I had for you, Stephanie, because I, looking back at your post, you've got like 6,000 impressions, engagements, and like hundreds of comments. And I kind of took a peek and I saw that you did comment on a lot of them. I mean, what are there like common questions that people are asking you, after you made that post? That you, or even maybe some unique questions that you're getting from people?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I got a lot of I guess logistical questions or like simple questions about my application process. I also made a post for this. It's called Meta FAQ. I could link it in a little bit, but it answers a lot of basic questions such as, did I get a referral? What was my process? What did my process look like? How many rejections I got, etc. But I would say that another common question I got was, how did I overcome getting that many rejections? Because I did apply to 80 companies and was ghosted and rejected by 75 of them. And my best advice for this is to not get too attached to any one company before they've shown interest in you. So for me, I was applying to jobs and ended up mass applying to jobs because I was afraid it was a little bit too late to network. And although that's not the best approach, it really helped me not build too much of an attachment to any one company. So when I woke up in the morning, I saw a rejection email in my inbox. I read it and I was like, okay, next. It didn't make a big difference to me because I knew my energy was better invested somewhere else. And thankfully that worked out for me because my self-esteem wasn't too hurt by seeing all those rejections. But I completely understand that after a while, it does get very discouraging.
Yeah, for sure. No, I'm glad that you alluded to that and you helped answer that question, because I mean, it really is like the hardest part, right? The hardest part when it comes to job seeking. I know, Manny, you had your own experience on, getting rejections from certain companies, and it's hard, right? Because the advice is like, don't get attached, but at the same time, when times are tough and you really do find a job that you're like, oh my God, that's exactly what I'm looking for. Like sometimes that attachment just kind of naturally comes. But when you do, get that rejection or you get that no from something that you were really passionate or excited about, like it's really hard to, it's hard to shake the feeling, right? It's really hard to overcome it. But I'm glad that you shared that. Go ahead, Manny.
I was going to jump over to this next question here from Raymond. So let me just pin this to the screen here. Let me get that right there. So Raymond Toth is asking advice for someone who wasn't able to land an internship and is now a new grad looking for their first SDE position. Entry level jobs look like they seem to need internship experience. And I know you're a rising sophomore, Steph, but maybe hypothetically, right? Like, what would you do?
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. I am a rising sophomore and I did land one software internship. So take anything I say with a grain of salt here. But I would say try to find where the more accessible opportunities are. So far, I found that startups are pretty flexible and willing to hire those who may not necessarily have the experience, but are really dedicated to learn and are able to move really quickly. So even if you aren't able to land a full-time role there, you might be able to get an internship, help build out a project. One great way to find startups is by going on YC's Work at a Startup program. them. The URL is literally workatastartup.com, and you can reach out to some of these companies and see if you can do work with them for a couple of months. That could be one way to get experience. Another one is building side projects. Although these companies are asking for internship experience, it's because they want to see that you're capable of shipping out projects within pretty quick time span and show that they're really effective. So for example, if you built a mobile app and you launched it on the App Store and it had thousands of downloads, that would also show that you're very technically competent and that you're skilled. So having really strong side projects could also supplement a lack of internships.
Awesome. Yeah, I concur with what Steph just said. Also, if you make your way over to the hidden job market and you're able to get into the free resources section, there are different websites and resources you can check out there that are geared. There's like resources for internships, mentorship, and it's all free. So go to my profile and you'll see basically the breadcrumbs on how to get there. So that's one resource that you can do is go to that community and check out that list of resources, so that you can, find more experience. I would say also, because I've worked with bootcamp graduates who are transitioning into the software engineering space, and the majority of them do like projects or capstone projects, and it's, in my mind, a means to kind of supplement for not having the actual experience. So it's very similar to like having in some ways to having an internship, at a place like Meta. So doing like a project and building your skills in that way is super helpful, because in the end, you need to be able to speak to something in the interviews, right? Because your resume, your LinkedIn profile is one thing that'll get you your foot in the door to the interview process. But if you get there and you're not able to speak to anything, then it'll be challenging for you. So volunteering is also a great way to get experience. There's a ton of nonprofits out there that don't have the resources to build, the tools that they need. Now that I think of it, Opportunity Hack. Steph, you ever heard of that? It's a hackathon that PayPal does, I believe, like in October, and it's to support local nonprofits. And so a bunch of people from the local community, software engineers, designers, come in to do a hackathon building tools for nonprofits, and there's like prizes and all that stuff, and opportunity to continue working with the nonprofits. So that could be a cool resource for people to get more experience. Hackathons. So check it out, everyone. You're welcome, Raymond. So I think I can take that off the screen now, and we can get into wrap-up mode here, because I know that Marie has to get going here. So, and I hope you all don't mind that we're starting to conclude here. Thank you to everyone who tuned in to our first episode of the I'm Happy to Announce project, our first official episode, right? And getting a chance to learn from Stephanie Sue, and being able to see some of the content that she's created from her Happy to Announce post. Give her a follow. Look her up on LinkedIn. Follow her. She has amazing content. I'm a big fan of the stuff that she's putting out there onto LinkedIn. It's super helpful and super insightful. So check out her posts by following her, and hitting the bell so you're notified when she does post. Also, give Marie a follow as well, aka the Fairy Job Mother. If you didn't know, she's talent acquisition at Netflix. So make sure you give her a follow as well, because she is posting daily, has a schedule out there and everything of what she posts on the daily, which is really cool. Obviously, give me a follow if you want. You can go to my profile, Manny Duenas, the Career Doctor, hit the bell. I'm posting also daily about my own experiences as a job seeker, being first generation as well, graduating from college, not having mentorship. I post a lot about that stuff. So give us a follow and connect if you want to be able to communicate with us as well. If you have questions moving forward, I am having a little bit technical difficulty in terms of posting links and reaching the LinkedIn audience, which is where the majority of people are. I think it's only going to YouTube right now, which is cool, but it's not exactly, helpful for those who are tuning into LinkedIn. So if you do want more resources, just reach out to us and we're happy to support you. Like I said, this is our student series. So we will be bringing more individuals who have landed internships at great, amazing companies out there and sharing their stories and experiences. So keep an eye out for the next guest that we'll be having. And I'll pass it over to Marie for any final words as well from you.
Yeah, for sure. No, thank you so much. Yeah, thank you for everyone who's tuning in, and thank you so much, Stephanie, for being our first official guest. Yeah, the only thing I want to plug is this project. Pass this project along to anyone and everyone. We do have a LinkedIn page, so start following that. We're still building this out. We're testing waters. We're figuring out what works and doesn't work right now. Yeah, the student series is definitely something that Manny and I are super passionate about, but don't let that stop you. If you are a job seeker just in general, like all these tips and tricks, whether you are a student, an intern, or a seasoned professional, like we could all use this type of advice, and so, feel free to, follow the page, keep in touch. We're going to keep doing this, having more guests on. If you're interested in sharing your story, feel free to tag us. We want to see more of these stories. And again, not just like the celebration piece, but the raw nature of, how you got to where we are. And Manny says it best, leave those breadcrumbs, because breadcrumbs does lead success. So that's my plug. But this is so much fun. I'm so sorry for my technical difficulties, but it's all about the content and the love in this room. So thank you both so much, and for everyone tuning in.
Thank you, Marie, for being with us, and thank you, Steph, for joining us. And like I always say, like Marie just said, success leaves breadcrumbs. Just got to know where to follow them. So tune in to our next episode. Hit the bell so you know when we are going to be getting that off the ground. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Steph, again, and we will see you all soon. Take care, everyone, and good luck on your job searches.
Thank you. Bye, everyone. Good luck.